Bounty hunters. Life on the blockchain.
Oh, life on the blockchain. We are back for an extra special episode today with redacted guests. No, I'll tell them in a second. So, first off, let's talk about the sponsors. Let's talk about when you want to fuzz. Where do you go? You get recon.xyz/riptide. Get all your invariant tests, get a big discount, drop the Riptide link, get recon.xyz/riptide, get some change back, and get your project secured. For all the up and coming bounty hunters and for the experts who want to level up, go to rareskills.io/riptide, knock out some boot camps, and get a big Riptide discount as well. So go find some bugs, get some. Today's guests, I have two guests, and we have both guys from Obsidian Audits, 0xjuann and 0xspearmint. Good day, sirs.
Thanks for having us.
My
thanks
pleasure.
for having us.
Awesome to have you guys. Calling from down under. That's what I like to see. Whereabouts, might I ask?
We're from the west side.
Where no one is, over there in Perth?
Around there.
There's
Awesome. I was hoping you'd say like we're in Broome, and if you don't know Broome, Australia, you're riding camels. You're just out there in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, true. We haven't even been to Broome yet.
I don't think anyone has, except some tourists. Dudes, so great to have you on the podcast. You guys are both behind Obsidian Audits, which I think you founded. Is it fairly recent? How long have you guys been running your audit shop?
Yeah, we started a couple of months ago. I think we announced in May or April, but we've been doing private audits as a team since like last February. But we officially branded it as Obsidian just a couple of months ago. Yeah.
Cool. And maybe give some background on how the hell you got here. Maybe Juan, you could start off.
Yeah. So I was at the end of my first year in university studying math and computer science, and I wanted to either go into AI or into crypto. I just had to pick one, and there was no specific reason, but I just picked like I wanted to go deep into crypto during my my summer holidays, and then I initially just wanted to be a dev, and I was doing Patrick's development course, but he happened to launch the security course at the same time, and that's what got me learning about security. And then, thanks to contests, I got into those and got like immediate feedback. Started to do well in contests, and then just kept doing that for a long time, and here we are.
And then you decided to start your own audit company.
Yeah, so with the audit firm, it started with a team, Tenor Finance, reaching out to Spearmint. I think they saw him on Cantina's leaderboard, and they reached out to him for like a solo review before their main audits, and then he suggested to them that we do it as a team, and we did it. We did a review for them, and during the opening call, they told us that they were going to have a review from Spearbit after us, and so we told them like jokingly, okay, so our goal is for them to have an empty report, for them to find nothing, and so we tried really hard for that audit. We found like quite a few highs, mediums, and then a few weeks later, they told us that the Spearbit review only had one medium and then like a couple of lows. So after that, we kind of realized, okay, so we actually can provide value and like do a good service in private reviews. And at that time, we were mainly just doing contests and like solo private audits, but not doing them together. And yeah, after that, we already started thinking about coming together and like providing our service as a team.
Okay. And can I ask you something about ciphering? So Patrick's thing, ciphering. You took his course. You're saying how? What did you think about? Why did you choose to do a course? And did you think it was valuable?
So I took the course just because people I knew told me like that's a good way to start learning. I just didn't have a like if I didn't do the course, I would have had to do my own research. But I felt just having especially at the start, having the structured program showing me everything I needed to know was quite beneficial.
Hmm. Okay, very cool. I've never looked into it, but I hear a lot of people talking about ciphering, so I'll have to check it out. Mr. Spearmint, can you give me a little background? Why the hell are you here on the blockchain?
Yeah, okay, so mine is pretty different to Juan's. So I don't really have a technical background. So right after high school, I got into medicine. So I studied 2 years undergraduate in biomedical science. And after that, I got into the first year of medical school. And just at the start of the second year was when Juan had, I'm pretty sure he got his first contest payout. So I saw him, you know, take Patrick's course, and within a couple of months, he'd started doing contests and he already got paid. So, yeah, like at the beginning of the second year of med school was when I also followed the similar path to him, which is take Patrick's Foundry course and then a security course and get straight into contests.
And are you still in med school?
So I'm not right now. So
So
around
hell
6 months,
no.
yeah, around 6 months into my second year, I, basically paused the degree and took a gap year.
Interesting decision. Why
That's
go into further debt when you could start making that big audit money, the big audit mafia cash? Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome, man.
definitely.
Dude, I'm waiting to hear like one of the backstories. It's like, well, I was an Uber driver and then I started doing some ciphered course on my drives, and here I am. We have a tier one audit firm. You never know. I like the med background, man. That's non-traditional.
Yeah, definitely. I think that exists. I think I read about someone who was a taxi driver and then took Patrick's course and then now they're a Spearmint researcher.
yeah, L Hedge.
You're serious? This is a real guy.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah.
What's his name?
El Hedge, like ELHAJ. He's a Cantina ASR now, I think.
I got to reach out to this guy, man. It sounds like a story. Very cool. Um, you never know, man. So, all right. So, I've seen you guys around on X for a while, but I think where I noticed you was obviously when you dipped your toe in the bug bounty game, and I saw this cool Fraxlend vulnerability, and it's just like I've looked at Frax's contracts, and I think it's an interesting team. It's a lot of go getters, and they kind of push code pretty quick. And they've gotten notes from some audit firms in the past saying, "Hey, chill, don't go so quick. You're trying to do too much too fast." But having said that,
Yeah,
I don't think they've had any real exploits. I did find a few things in their contracts, but nothing enough to get paid for them. They kind of accepted the risks, and they have flaws like anybody else, but they still, I think, have good coding practices, and their code is pretty good. But you guys took a look and you found something pretty interesting. Which one of you would like to talk about it?
Spearmint. Do you want to take it?
Sure. Okay. So, that Fraxlend, I'll just give a quick summary of the protocol. It's basically an isolated lending protocol, and we found an interesting way to inflate the share value so that you can steal the first deposit, essentially. And a bit of like backstory before we get into this is while doing audit contests, we did a contest for Sentiment V2. So they are also an isolated lending protocol. And that's actually the first time where we discovered this vulnerability. So yeah, during that audit contest where we both did it as a team, we found this way to exponentially inflate the share value. And
was that a 4246 vault implementation on that project?
yeah, they also had a 4626 vault.
Okay.
So yeah, and then the Frax bounty came like a couple of months later. But yeah, I think that's one of the interesting things about this bug is that it can apply to really any protocol that has, a share implementation. It doesn't really have to be a vault. We've seen it in AMMs, for example. We've seen it in, across different languages, Clarity, Rust, or Solidity. But yeah.
And so, could you go over kind of the mechanics of it, just the base? Like, what's the major flaw that you guys found?
Okay, so the basic share inflation bug, which is let's say in the old version of 4626 vaults, is well, whenever you deposit a certain amount of assets to a vault, you will get minted shares representing the percentage of assets that you own in the vault. So the actual calculation for that, when they calculate how much shares to mint you, is the amount you deposit multiplied by the total shares divided by the total assets of the vault. So in this calculation, the problem is it can round down to zero, basically, or it can round down, but ideally for high impact, you want it to round down to zero so that when a user deposits a certain amount of assets, he gets minted 0 shares and effectively donates his deposit to the attacker. So in the basic vault inflation attack, it's where total assets is just the balance of tokens in the vault. So the attack is really simple, where you just front run the first depositor by minting a single share and then donating a large amount of assets to the vault by transferring tokens in, so that whenever the next guy deposits, he gets minted 0 shares, and you can just withdraw everything that he deposited. So that's the basic vault inflation bug. And basically everyone knows about this. Anyone creating a 4626 these days knows about it, and Frax, of course, they knew about this, and their solution to it was to track the total assets using a storage variable instead of using the balance of address this. So that prevents the attack vector where you can just donate assets to the vault to inflate the share value. So this is I've even seen this as recommendations in audit reports and things like that to fix the share inflation, the basic share inflation attack is track it using a storage variable instead of balance of address this. So yeah, that's a bit of the backstory to that. But now, how you actually go from the previous attack to attacking when they track it as an internal variable? It's the question is, how can we inflate the total assets of the vault while keeping the total shares at 1? That's the goal. So a basic thing you can do is, once the share value is let's say 2 to 1, if you try to just deposit one way, so you deposit one way to the vault, it'll increase the total assets to 3, but you'll get minted 0 shares. And this is a very it's a tiny inflation. If you tried to deposit 2-way, you would get minted a share, so there would be no inflation. So it starts with just depositing one way to increase the share value again by 1. But the interesting thing is now you can deposit 2-way, and you increase the share value from 3 to 5. And now you can deposit 4-way, and that just exponentially goes up until you can, by just like 20 deposits, you can steal, over $1 million USDC, for example.
Right, and that's the key is it starts to go exponential, and then that's that's the big takeaway. Like I've seen this. I swear to God, I've seen this behavior a long time ago, and it just didn't click to me. Like I was playing around with Sims, and you see you could deposit something, and then you get 0 shares, but the amount increases. But in my mind, I'm looking at it from a user and just think, oh, well, it just screws the user. Look, I didn't get any shares back. Move on to the next thing. And I wasn't thinking about it in the context that you thought about it, which is, when you have 1 share, and then the whole exploit scenario. So I just thought, it's really cool, man. And I mean, this, like you said, it's not new, but the angle you took on it was novel. And I think you found this, and who missed it? Trail of Bits? Was that the tier 1 firm?
Yeah, it was Trail of Bits.
Look at that. Obsidian flexing on big TOB. That's what I like to see, man. And this, dude, there's something, I don't want to say similar. Did you guys see the resupply hack?
I haven't seen that, no.
So it was a 4626 kind of problem there. You, like, deposit 1 way into an empty vault, donate to inflate the share price. Oracle reports the inflated price, and then the exchange rate 0 because of division, and so LTV's 0, and then you could do unlimited borrowing. So they just did like the exchange rate divided by whatever the call to the Oracle get prices, and it rounded to 0. And it's like, man, we see the same stuff with this. Anytime you see a division symbol, look at that rounding, man. I mean, it's like one of the most overlooked things in protocols to this day. It's just like, I think people look at it and they just think, oh, it's nothing big. And at first glance on the Fraxlend bug, the first glance you're like, oh, okay, big deal, until you start playing with it, and then you're like, oh, look, this can get big very quick. Is there any tools you use? Did you fuzz anything here? Like, how'd you guys kind of find this bug? Is this just all manually digging, or any tools involved?
So for this one, when we first found it in the contest, I don't remember like fully just finding it through exploration. Like I'd heard of it because this is called stealth donation. It's like it's not completely novel from us. Like it's been known before. So when we looked at the vault for the contest, I just kind of remembered that there was some way that you could still inflate the share value without even if they track the total assets as a storage variable. So I can't take full credit for being the first person to discover this through some some fuzzing method or something. But yeah, I think the main, if we were to think about how could we be the first person to discover this, I think it's just thinking about how we can inflate the share value from first principles. So we just need to somehow increase the total assets without increasing the total shares as much, and the precision loss just happens to be the vector we can take to do that.
Yeah, have you ever looked at the ERC, the original ERC for 4626?
Yeah, we have.
Where they talk about the security considerations. I was just browsing it this morning. I don't know. I don't think this is mentioned. like these bugs that have been found?
Yeah, so I think maybe the basic inflation has been mentioned, but after the fact, like probably after someone got exploited or something. But yeah, the ERCs don't. They should probably do more in listing the security considerations and all the different like protections you need to put in.
Yeah, I mean, in all fairness, this was written in 2021. That's how long these takes
Yeah,
to go through. Uh, it's wild, but no, this is a cool bug, man. Very cool. So Frax team, very based. It sounds like they fixed everything, paid you out a bounty, and did they make an announcement as well, or just you guys?
it was just us. They didn't make anything public. But yeah,
Okay,
we asked them before doing it, and Sam Sam was happy to have us post it.
cool, cool. And hey, on another topic, I saw you guys are doing something with Hyperliquid. Something I just saw recently, this hyper-evm library, which is kind of cool. Do you want to talk about that? I'm curious, kind of who'd you hear about asking for this? Like, why did you make it? And do you know of any projects that are using it right now?
Yeah, so Hyperliquid recently launched the Core Writer, which is just this. Uh, it's a system contract on their EVM, which lets you communicate with Hypercore, which is just a like a perp and spot DEX, which like looks like a centralized exchange from the front end, but it's on a blockchain. So the issue with the the core writer right now is it's quite tedious to implement into your contracts. Like there's a lot of different things you have to consider, like converting the decimals from the EVM representation of the token to the core representation. So they have different, like they're represented with different amounts of precision. And then there's just a lot of different weird things that make it annoying if you want to be a dev. If you're a dev and you want to do something with this, and we found this by just playing around with it once they announced that it was live on mainnet. And so we thought, what if we just like after testing everything and finding the places with the most friction, if we just made a library that made everything simpler for the developers, it would probably be used a lot by like anyone who wants to build using these features of the hyper EVM.
Mm.
So yeah,
And did you notice like I'm assuming you've audited some protocols on Hyperliquid. Did you notice they were kind of maybe stepping into some security traps where you saw like, oh, this could be a problem? I could see devs kind of messing this up over and over again.
so we actually haven't yet audited a protocol that uses the like Hyperliquid's system contract or the precompiles, but uh, we have seen a few audit reports like from Pashov. He's done a lot of them, and from that we have seen a few of the pitfalls that people can fall into, which are easily avoided by just using like not rolling um, your own code for this. Like if there was just a thing you could import that does everything for you, that would be
Hmm.
really helpful.
No, that's really cool, man. I hope you guys haven't taken on something that is too much work now. Like if you look at Solady or Soulmate, any of those, it's like the initial goal is like, yeah, we put this out there, and then you're like, oh my god, you look at all these commits they continue to do over months and over years. So,
Yeah.
do you have an idea about that going forward, or are you just going to say, obviously GitHub, is anyone open to contribute, and just kind of hope the community maintains it, or is this going to be like an Obsidian audits kind of work of art?
Um, well, we're not completely sure like where the future is going to take it. The good thing is like it's mostly feature complete. Like there's not unlimited things that you can add. Like with Solidity, you can always come up with a new function to add, but with this, there's a limited number of precompiles that hyper-evm has, a limited number of actions you can do on core. So once they're put in, there shouldn't be too much like extra development to do after that.
Mm-hmm. And I'm curious, how did you guys team up?
So we are brothers.
You say you're brothers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shit, that's pretty awesome. That's really cool, man. And you guys are both doing your own audit firm, dropping out of med school to go audit Solidity. This is pretty cool, man. And are you only doing Solidity? Like, is Obsidian just going to focus on that, or are you doing, DLT stuff? What are you going to focus on?
We mainly do Solidity, but we've also done some Solana, so Rust audits.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't really delved into the like blockchain node level stuff though.
Yeah, we're just focusing on DeFi contracts, but on Solana and the EVM.
Okay. And what kind of automated tools do you guys use? Do you use any static analysis, dynamic analysis, LLMs?
I haven't used Slither since Patrick's course, so since like a year and a half ago. The main, I guess, with LLMs, we both use Cursor just for like to help with code, understanding the code at the start. Maybe like basic code navigation. We haven't gone deep into the AI agent, the code audit agent stuff yet, but I do think that in the future, like a lot of the low level, a lot of the bugs, not vulnerabilities, but a lot of the bugs will be caught by AI. And
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I think I had a Light Chaser on, and I think when you combine the static analysis with LLMs, to be honest, I think that's a winning combo to catch a lot of bugs. A lot of bugs. Like I see some interesting findings come across my desk, and obviously some are not all accurate, but there are some interesting ones that warrant enough attention to these tools. So do not just anyone who's listening, don't think like the initial GPT bug finding skills have stayed the same. It's got better, not just GPT, but other LLM platforms. It's got better, and when you could do different training and prompting, they've gotten a lot better. So always a great tool to use, and it's interesting hearing how you're using Cursor to kind of help understand a code base. Is that pretty simple? Do you just load? I've used Cursor once to play around with it, but do you use it to just you load the whole code base, and then do you have specific kind of prompts you ask it? Like what's kind of the steps that you go through to understand a code base from zero?
Yeah, so after, the first thing I do after just cloning a repo would, if I want to get, especially if there's low or no documentation to get a high level understanding, I'll just ask Cursor like what's the high level, of each contract, what's the purpose of each contract, who are the actors involved, and what's the entry point. And within a minute, I have some understanding of what the protocol is about, the main contracts, and I have a point to go to actually start the manual review.
Mm-hmm. And do you remove all comments?
Uh, I think I've done that a while ago. I haven't done it, in a long time though, to be honest.
Classic DVF. I remove all comments before I look at the code. I only look at the code. I don't know, man. Sometimes I get some usage out of them. It just depends, I guess, what you like. I guess your style.
I think yeah, they do help with understanding. But I do remember once I got baited out by a comment, which led me to miss a bug. But I can't remember the details. But yeah, that has happened.
Was
So I
it
can
something like this never reverts?
um I can't remember it. Maybe it was just some assumption. Yeah, it was definitely some kind of assumption that I just took on instead of challenging. So yeah, I can.
It does do that, man. It can just like enter your subconscious, and you're like, oh yeah, this look. It says it'll never overflow. It's never. I'm not even going to look at it. That's classic, man. And what about like what about DeFi, man? Do you guys? I mean, we all look at DeFi protocols. Are you guys brave enough to put your own capital in there?
In the
Yeah,
right
we
one.
do use like very few protocols though, like Aave, Morpho. Like for swapping, we go through Uniswap or whatever. But where we actually like leave money inside a contract, it's really only Aave or Morpho.
What about staked ETH with Lido?
Ah, staked ETH. Yeah, I would trust my money in there, but yeah, I'm pretty sure there was just a serious bug found in Lido as well.
Which one? I just found one,
The
but it was
riptide
with
one.
their dual governance. And dude, it was such a basic bug. It was just a basic bug, just overwriting a timestamp. And
Wow.
but it's like it was one of those protocols. Like if you look at Lido and why it's a good target is because a lot of their audits, because they frequently get audited, and I noticed a lot of their audits were returning highs, like by multiple
Mm.
auditors, and it's like man, you have it's just look at their ecosystem, man, and pull up some of their repos. It's not just one repo; it's plenty, and they've just grown so big, and they want to do so many things. And you have a lot of people in the code, a lot of moving parts, a lot of auditors, and when you get a complex situation like that, I think just your chances of finding bugs just increase quite a bit.
I'm curious what made you dive into the dual governance specifically. Was it because they just launched it on Immunify?
Um, I can't remember how I came across it. I think I was actually working with another guy on it, and we we just picked this target. I think just out of the blue, just like, hey, let's look at Lido, and then we pulled up that I wasn't even aware of dual governance, and then pulled up that, and then once you start looking at it, you're like, my God, this is so complex. And I had another finding denied by them, and I had to really kind of go through dual governance and try to understand the docs. And you know, LLMs are really good for understanding super complex docs like that. You know, like
Hmm.
where you're getting rebuffed by the protocol. Like we know it's hard to understand, but and you're like, oh, okay, shit. Let me really dive into this. And I think it's just too complicated. And you had a lot of nuance and a lot of what ifs. And you enter one state, and then that goes down a path to another state, and then there's a lot of kind of if else gates down there. And I mean that's ripe for bugs, in my opinion.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, and
If,
like, go ahead.
if the audits, yeah, like if they have many audits and they all return highs, then yeah, that's probably a really good target.
Yeah, and even like, I just think it's good, man. And this is another. Maybe I'll do some alpha drop. Something I used recently was to run Grok 4 on some diffs on just see some diffs and have Grok look at it. My God, it's fucking good. Like on the speed, it doesn't get everything right, but on the speed that it can review a large diff and research the rest of the project and kind of give you input on it is just incredible. Like if you want to look at a lot of things quickly, my God, some of these tools, I mean, there's so many different ways you could use them.
Grok 4, okay.
You haven't used
So
it? Oh shit. serious alpha.
Yeah, I've never used Grok because it's on. Wait, is it? Do you use it from the Twitter?
Yeah. It has its own website, I think, but like it's blocked in the EU for some reason. So I just use it through X, which works for whatever reason. The downside is it's very slow, but it's pretty exhaustive on its searching, and it goes out to the web, everything, man. And like anything, you got to double check everything, but I'd say it's a pretty good tool.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely give it a try.
So you would go Aave, Morpho. I like those. Both good choices. And then maybe some staked ETH. But what about, have you looked at Dead Rose's platform, Yieldor?
Yeah, so we have looked into Yieldor. I think it's really interesting. It is an interesting protocol, and the main way he gets a lot of the yield is looping the PTs. So a Pendle is actually another protocol that we do trust and use. So we also do a lot of the yield or strategies manually ourselves.
I wonder why. You just don't trust it. Dude, a great line is like, don't trust what you don't understand. And some of these protocols are so complex. And if you are not a dev, if you are not an auditor, I think people just YOLO into shit, because when I look at things, just like you, I'm like, I don't know about that. Like what kind of math is he doing? I'm sure he's looked it over, but it's like, and I'm not saying anything bad about his protocol. I honestly haven't even looked at the code. I'm just saying in general, I'm kind of the same way. I like to do these manually. I don't trust looping with stables or ETH. You just see these problems happening where there's an Oracle issue, or you name it, and then your capital's gone, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
that is true.
I'd say Spearmint has a higher risk tolerance than me because he's doing the PT loop strategy on Aave, but I haven't got around to doing that yet. So I'm missing out on the 80% APY or whatever that is.
Tell us the strategy. Drop some DeFi alpha here.
I
I
think
mean, it's
there you
really
go.
simple. You just so it also involves Athena. So you get staked USDE. So you get the PT staked USDE, which yields, I think right now maybe 11%. You can use that as collateral on Aave, borrow USDC at 5%, and swap that into USDE, again into staked USDE, and get the PT staked USDE. So each iteration of the loop, you get an extra 5% on your capital. So let's say you start with 10%. If you loop, 5 times, so 5 times 5, 25 plus 10, now you're getting 35% APY on the same capital. And, in terms of Oracle risk and things like that, I was, just like you, that's what I was worried about. But, Aave treats USDE just like USD. So it's basically a hard-coded Oracle. So the risk is actually quite low. And as long as you trust Athena not to blow up, you should be fine.
Is it hard coded though? I doubt it, knowing Aave.
I'm pretty sure for USDE, like the PT at least, it's pegged to USD price. So I looked into it and it was, it just returned 1. It's like a discounted Oracle. So over time, the price can only go up as the PT gets closer to maturity. But
Has
yeah,
USDE
I
ever
haven't looked into
depegged?
it. I don't think it has for like a long period of time.
I don't know. I hear you. This sounds like this is straight up DeFi, man. I love, like, I used to be in traditional finance, and you look at products like this, and there'd be a whole structured product teams that would come up with some crazy way to generate a yield. But you look at DeFi, it's like that on fucking steroids. I mean,
Yeah.
what you just said is so funny. Like, to us, we're like, oh yeah, that's typical DeFi strategy. To anyone else, they're like, what can you do on this thing, and how many levels of risk have you just put on the burner there. So if USDE depegs, and then you get liquidated on Aave, the whole thing kind of unravels.
Yeah, you'd be in some big trouble there.
Well, but you're getting 30% yields.
Yeah, you can easily get over 30% if you let. I think you can leverage up 10x, so you could easily get over 70.
Oh my God, man. I don't know why. Dude, I used to do this. I used to just go YOLO on this DeFi, man. And I'm sure it'd be good. I just can't. I just can't. I just stick with like staked ETH, and I just kind of sit there with my ETH like a humble non-DeFi user. And I don't know if it'll ever improve. Do you feel like, the institutions that are obviously here now, what do you think their risk appetite is with DeFi, and do you think there's more that we could do to kind of help kind of push this so it's more mainstream, the use of DeFi?
I think it would take time. Like people, there's way more people that trust Aave now than 3 years ago. And if these protocols can be battle tested for like 10 years, then I can see like traditional institutions being happy to to use these products for a lot of their assets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they
And
have.
there,
Go ahead.
there's a lot of demand for, there's a lot of demand for these kind of strategies. You can even see on Aave, like right now, the PT USDE, PT SUSDE, the caps are completely full. And every time they increase the cap, it usually fills out within a few blocks. So yeah, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people, I guess, are happy to ape into these strategies.
And are you only using mainnet for your strategies?
Yeah, this only Aave on mainnet accepts the PTs as collateral.
Okay. But what do you think about you've looked at Hyperliquid? What do you think about this separate L1 that's running on, I think, 4 validators that I don't know if they've been decentralized yet, and it's attracted so much capital because they have a good product. Do you have money there as well? Would you trust that?
Um, yeah, right now it is, really centralized to the 4 validators. They have decentralized up to, I think, 20 validators now, but I don't know. I don't think they're involved with the bridge. So I think the bridge is still, controlled by those 4. Um, we do have some, some money on Hyperliquid, but yeah, that was definitely a big concern we had.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, man. It's just like, I don't know. It sounds like you guys haven't been in the game too long, but if you remember when BNB chain came out, they were the first kind of chain to take market share from Ethereum because they were doing what Ethereum could do, but do it quicker. And they just increased their block size, block times, and they were able to have a very fast experience. But it was centralized. But they took so much market share away for the meme coins, not meme coins, but gambling, scam coins, everything. But everyone went to BNB, and no one really gave a shit that it was centralized. And I feel like the same way with Hyperliquid. I think they're making good steps. Last time I checked, to kind of push out decentralization a bit and address some concerns. And I guess they're building something a bit different with a different objective. But it's funny, man. It's just like at the end of the day, people want to make money as always, and they're willing to sacrifice a certain amount. Everyone's got a different risk tolerance. And if you see like $1 billion in the bridge, a couple billion, you're like, well, what's my 20 grand, as part of this? If the big whales are willing to go deep, come on. Like that justifies it to them.
Yeah, definitely. And with Hyperliquid, the validator code is currently, completely private. And that's what we haven't gone into, auditing blockchain level stuff yet, but if they ever do make that public, that would be such an interesting place to look.
Yeah, someone reached out a few months ago. I think they were decompiling it. Maybe they're still decompiling it. I don't know. But there's dudes that do that. Like there's guys that just sit in the dark, man, and just like decompile code. Like way, way bigger brain than I am. But like those dudes are out there. And hopefully they're not malicious because you have the Lazarus and other big groups that literally do this stuff because they have to. Like, did you see that one from who put it out? PC put it out, like the investigation that they found where the initializers and everything was being kind of poisoned by Lazarus.
Yes, yeah, we had a look at that.
God, man, like I can't say that they're not looking at Hyperliquid because I guarantee they are.
Yeah, I think there was a tweet from Tay Vano a while ago
Mm-hmm.
showing North Korean linked wallets trading on Hyperliquid.
Yeah, like getting liquidated.
Yeah.
Probably poking around, testing. It's just like, and you hope to never see it, man. You never want to wake up. And my God, how many times it happened, where I woke up and I'm like, oh, fuck. what crazy exploit on some protocol that I'm vested in has been hit. And it's happened so many times that this is why I'm scared out of DeFi. It's like, I don't know how to kind of get that feel good feeling about doing what Spearmint's doing here. When I think Pendle had an incident, it was only 6 months ago, right?
Oh, did
I
they?
did not hear it.
I'd have to look it up. They had some issue.
Oh, I think they did have a front end issue. I don't think the contracts ever got exploited then.
Okay, maybe it's a front end issue. Dude, there's always something. Fuck. What do we do, guys? What do we do?
Yeah, it's
Call
hard, but
Obsidian Audits.
I think that, if you trust the main players, it is just different. For example, on Solana, Juan was doing a different looping strategy, and he'd asked the really amazing yield, and he suggested me to also get into it, and I almost got into their vault. So they also had a vault. I almost deposited money in there, and then a couple of weeks later they got exploited. So we do also have these close calls.
Oh man, yeah. The best is when you get out. All right, dude. And there's so many trust assumptions too. Even with Aave, there is trust that you're going to have an active governance as well. That you're going to have participants that care about the protocol. So if something happens that a proposal passes where governance is not, they're asleep at the wheel, well, you have it can cripple the protocol. And I don't know, some people are comfortable with these assumptions, but then others, I mean, especially when you have huge stakeholders in certain protocols that basically have captured governance. And if those entities are disabled for the right window of time, well, now that protocol is compromised, even though it doesn't look compromised, and no one really notices because a governance proposal has been pushed through, and it's been approved, and it passes Quorum, and then the whole protocol's fucked.
Yeah, that's why I'd say just supplying USD to a Morpho market that has a Chainlink oracle, and the collateral is like, I don't know, wrapped ETH or something. That's probably the best way you can earn yield on your USD with not having to worry. Not having to worry about Aave. or
In
do you know
DeFi.
how it can do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think even Coinbase, like if you want to just say forget DeFi and you really want, you know, if you're really paranoid, I guess I'd go with Coinbase. They offer a staked or some sort of yield on USDC. I would never do that. I just I don't like the whole centralized aspect of anything. But yeah, I think you're right. Just a basic strategy and your risks are very low. But hey, then your yield's low. I mean, what does yield represent? It represents the amount of risk that you're willing to take. In some cases, it would be some alpha if you had something somebody else didn't, but usually that reflects your risk. And I kind of want to transition from that, talk about governance, capturing governance risk to a little alpha drop. Today's alpha drop would be it's actually a known finding that many people are probably not aware of, but it's with OpenZeppelin, and you can look it up as CVE 2022311198, and it's a governance capture quorum bug. So it's pretty cool. I think it's before 4.7.3, and the bug was that you could have a proposal that there's some votes on it, and it doesn't pass. But the positive votes were larger than the negative votes, and it didn't pass quorum. And so it could sit there there's no time limit. This is the big problem. And then you have a new proposal that comes out that a year later that says, hey, we're going to change the quorum, and it lowers the quorum. And now that old proposal can be executed, even though it didn't pass the initial quorum. So you could have some stale thing out there. And it's really cool, man. And I looked at this, I was like, oh my God, I didn't even hear this until recently. I just came across this bug. So governance capture quorum change. Now, here's the issue. And here's, as a bounty hunter, right? If you go report this to a protocol, they're just going to give you unless you could find, where they've already lowered the quorum and you have old proposals at risk, they'll blow you off. They'll just say, oh, we'd never lower the quorum. Just like anything with bug bounty hunting, if there's any nuance, if there's any room for them to deny it, they're just going to say, oh, we'd never do that. So if you do find a protocol with this, you got to set your alerts and you got to say, all right, well, we just need to wait until they lower the quorum and then we could submit a bug, because it is actionable for certain protocols, once that happens. So something cool to look at. Do you guys have any alpha drops to drop? I mean, even though you've dropped your cool Fraxlend one, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you do have something, please share.
Yeah, I'd give one, which is, it's more just advice to my past self, but it's when bug hunting, bounty hunting for crits specifically, don't just look at the, core contracts and core functionality of, whatever protocol you're looking into. So yeah, it's really common that, especially when you have a time crunch and, you want to audit a protocol, you just go on DeFi Llama, look at what's gaining TVL, and then you start looking into it. And, what I used to do is, after I, deeply look into the core contracts, if I don't find anything, okay, there's probably nothing. It's time to move on to the next option. But I've seen now time and time again that if you, look a little bit outside the core contracts or the core product, there's often criticals there. So, for example, like Silo Finance, it's an isolated lending protocol, but they launched like a separate contract to help people loop and leverage, and that quickly got exploited. Even yourself, you found a bug in Balancer's Merkle Orchid. So that's a separate reward distributor contract. If I was gonna go try to find a crit in Balancer, I would just spend all my time looking at the the core logic of the AMM and things, and it's easy to overlook these other contracts, which you can still find criticals there.
Yeah, good alpha, man. I actually do the opposite. I always go to the periphery first. I assume there's less eyeballs on it. I don't know, or if it's not in scope, I look at that and I just like governance contracts, just like have they done anything weird? And devs, man, they usually just do some weird shit like, oh, we'll just roll our own crypto. We'll just change this up a bit. And they add a few lines. So I think that's always interesting. I think that's how I ended up on that weird Merkle Orchard claiming contract. It was just so oddball that what I found out didn't work right. But yeah, that's a great tip, man. Go outside the core, and hopefully no one's looking where you're looking.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's really common for these like periphery like contracts to not even get audited, especially tier one audits cost a lot. If you have a huge code base, they usually just get the core, just get the core audited, and they just leave out this periphery stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and that goes for relayers too. Anything that touches the contracts, the good old black boxing and not looking at things. Just try to look where no one's looking. That's one of my classic tips. Cool guys. You got anything else here? Do you have to have an ID to log on now that you're in Australia? You got to verify your age to log on the blockchain.
Not yet, but probably pretty soon.
Around that, like I always trust the nerds on our side to outwit the government nerds, and I think we'll always win in this technology battle.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
we need ZK proofs to become mainstream, and then we can have privacy without like we can prove our age without needing to give them our IDs.
Absolutely, or not prove it. Fuck them, man. Fuck all these rules. Fuck the rules. When you get to my age, man, you just say fuck the rules. Cool. Well, guys, it was a pleasure having you on. Again, this is Obsidian Audits. I think you guys are doing great. A brother team. I mean, I don't think this team's going to blow up. They're tight as anything. But you guys are doing great work. Thanks for putting out the lib for hyper-evm. I'll have to check it out. But yeah, man, thanks for coming on. And we will see everyone next time on the blockchain.